Hello everybody and welcome along to PSGL Season 32, the penultimate round of the Championship, and we could see a brand new champion for PSF1 by the end of tonight if one of our Championship contenders outscores the others by 8 points. My name is Jess Ball and joining me in the commentary box once again we've got Aidan Carter. Aidan, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Jess. Yeah, really looking forward to it tonight. Like you said, Championship on the line, only 2 rounds to go, and it can still be won today, which is, really exciting to come into the end of a season and still have a really tight title fight on our hands, isn't it? I mean, last season we didn't quite have that. We had Danoko running away with things really from the mid-season onwards. This time around, it's a lot different. We've got a proper fight on our hands. So, yeah, super excited to see how it goes tonight.
Yes, we were talking about it off stream and there was quite a lot of permutations that I didn't think of either. I just thought of Legends, obviously Legends leading the Championship, but pretty much any one of our Championship contenders could win the Championship, which I have to say is quite insane. So we'll go through the drivers' standings for you just to give you a little bit of information. So Legend currently stands at the top of the standings after winning last week in Australia. He wasn't expecting the win, to be honest, so it was a bonus for him. Asacombe barely missed out on the win, but it was a well-deserved second place for him, and he got pole position last week as well, which was great to see. Rowan and Rudy are tied for second place with 8 points, and as it stands, if Legend wins and Rowan and Rudy finish 4th or lower, because of countback reasons, Legend will win the Championship. Anything else, things can get very, very complicated. So basically what Rowan and Rudy have to do is if Legend wins, Rowan and Rudy need to finish pretty much 3rd and above to stay in the Championship fight. But if Legend doesn't score at all, either Rowan or Rudy can win the Championship if they score a particular amount of points. So it's still anyone's game. Basically, the gap's got to be 17 points clear of of everybody else in order to win the title tonight. And it's only the top 3 that can do it. Anyone else is mathematically out of the running. But there's still the fight for 4th with Asacombe on 47 points, Kazizel on 40 and Tom on 39 as well. So, and with Marlon a little bit further back to get 4th, unfortunately. So it's not just a Championship fight on our hand, we've got the battle for 4th as well.
Yeah, we really have got a battle for 4th, haven't we? And we've also got a battle for, now 7th, with Ogiana having left mid-season to join the PC side of things. We've got the likes of Marlon, Fabi, Louis, Nando, Marcados, all kind of within 4 or 5 points of one another. So it's very tight in the midfield, as it has been really all season. They've kind of swapped around in the midfield quite a lot as to who's been kind of best of the rest behind the top 3 for a lot of the season. So quite a few different fights to keep an eye out on for the rest of the season. And the Championship permutations are going to get a little bit difficult, aren't they? I think the reason they're going to get difficult is because this Championship is so close. It could come down to fastest lap points kind of deciding this title, couldn't it? I mean, Rowan could win on countback on terms of points, but if he was able to stay within Championship contention tonight, but he could also win by a fastest lap point next time out. And there's a whole bunch. It's just I think both Rowan and Rudy can technically stay within the Championship fight if they finish 4th, but that would then rely on them winning with the fastest lap next time out and Legend not scoring. So it would be a basically Championship over, you've got to say, unless something crazy happens. So you've got to say they've got to finish on the podium if Legend wins, but that also caters into the fact that we think that Legend's going to win tonight. So we've also got to think about that as well, when we haven't even thought about the Championship permutations when Legend doesn't win. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what goes into tonight. And I think we're going to have to do some mental arithmetic throughout tonight. I think I need to get my GCSE maths skills back out again, because it's going to be a bit of a difficult one to keep up with.
Yes, luckily I've created a spreadsheet with all my formulas as well, so I could type all the results in as it goes in as well. So I can keep you updated who would win the Championship if the results basically ended on a specific lap, which it won't, but it gives you an idea of where the drivers need to be if they want to either win a Championship or stay in the Championship fight. No matter what, pretty much Legend's still in the Championship fight, so pretty much. But it depends if his fight wins tonight or it doesn't. So pretty much everyone's got to be on their A game as well. But we haven't talked much about the track. We are going to Abu Dhabi tonight, first use in Formula 1 in 2009. But this configuration first came to the F1 calendar last year in 2020, well, 2 years ago in 2021, and we don't want to talk about what happened in the final lap around Abu Dhabi, but apart from that, it's pretty much a much better circuit to overtake on. It has so many fast-flowing corners as well. Turn 9 especially is a lot better. I know Charles Leclerc prefers differently, but there we go. But it's just very different. It hasn't been on the game for very long either, so should be makes for some very exciting race. We've got 15 minutes and 40 seconds left of qualifying. Everyone is on laps at the moment. Then we got a 20 car grid. Deso's replacing Elliott tonight. Elliott's on a cruise tonight, believe it or not. I hope he has a good time. I'm very jealous, by the way, that he's on a cruise. I believe everybody else who was meant to be here is here tonight. So yeah, we got a nice full grid, which is great to see. But what can you say about this track? Because we've seen in F2 that they could have loads of safety cars.
Yeah, they definitely could. I think one of the key features of this track, other than that it's a lot more fast and sweeping, is there's a lot now of off-camber corners. That seems to be the really tricky thing about this track now, is a lot of the corners, especially in the final sector, while they've been widened and the apex has been shortened and they've been made faster, they've also been made off-camber as well, which makes them really difficult on traction. So yeah, it's a very difficult track now. Add into the fact that we've got these double curbs around Abu Dhabi now, where we had single curbs in the past. It's a lot more difficult on the cars, and the track itself as well is quite bumpy, to say the least, as well. So there's a lot of challenges facing these drivers here tonight. I think the long corners, the off-camberness, the many curves we've got around here, and the fact that this track is traditionally very hard on tyres as well in terms of temperature, is going to make the race especially very difficult for some of these drivers. Hopefully it's not the carnage that we saw in Formula 2, fingers crossed, but it's going to be an interesting race nonetheless either way. Abu Dhabi is always an interesting race in league racing, even if it didn't usually provide for great racing in real life. And first laps are on the board, and our championship leader, as he has done for quite a few rounds now, is starting to lead the pack in qualifying. 2.5 tenths clear of his championship rival Rudy, who's currently in second place. We're just waiting to see what the other championship driver can do of Rowan, but Rowan is on an early lap and he's on the medium compound tyre, interestingly, so he's not gone out on a set of softs. So Rowan playing it a little bit different in qualifying.
Yeah, maybe because he wants to get some practice in. I don't know why he would go on the mediums, to be honest, but he may want to get a little bit of a feel, to be honest. He was looking good in practice earlier on, so he does mean business, but the other two I can tell have been practicing as well. But let's go on board with someone who's just started a run. Actually, there was a few people going down the back straight, so we'll go on board with Brock, who's currently beating his teammate in quite a few of the races this season. Performed a lot better in the last couple of races, but he's been inconsistent this season. But you get seasons like that, unfortunately, and it could go down to certain situations where people near the back could decide the championship for a driver, which I hope doesn't happen. But he goes past turn 9 as well. It is very long, and you've got to make sure your wheel movements are very smooth. Quite difficult on a pad, to be fair, as well, but there are quite a few drivers on a pad, and Brock almost going validated there. I don't know how he didn't. I think it just shows you can use a bit of that curb and get away with it. I don't know why, but he's going towards the final few corners now, as he's going to finish off his lap around the Alpha Marina circuit. What's it going to be? It's not going to be fastest. It's going to be the slowest of all, 1:23.9 for Brock at the moment. Everyone has pretty much done their runs, apart from our second place man, the championship Rowan and Louis. So those two yet set a lap time. Steph as well, not set a lap. Don't be confused by Stefano in F2. They're two completely different drivers. It was Shazoo Steph, PSR Steph, for those of you wondering. Had a very good race last week. He made his debut in F1. Scored his debut points in F1 as well, which is great to see. And he was actually very happy, actually. I think I was watching a few seasons ago. I think a few of the F1 guys were very delighted to get their first points in Formula 1. So it's just building up baby steps, as it were. But for people who have been in Formula 1 for ages, they want to be in the big leagues very quickly. But for Steph, it's small steps, and hopefully maybe in the future he can challenge near the top.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think it's so competitive across the board now, especially across our top, well, you've got to say at least top 3 tiers. It's so competitive across the board that anybody really could jump up to the front of a championship and be a star, especially with a lot of have we seen the trend when people start to win in the top division of PSGL F1, they tend to move over to PC. So that kind of opens a doorway for people to kind of stick their foot in and give themselves an opportunity to be the leader of the top of the pack on the PS side. And we've seen that years gone past. We've seen it happen many a time. We've seen Matthew Order come and go, and then we've seen Danerko come and go. We've seen Legend come into the fray as well, and we potentially could be going over to PC next season. We don't know yet, so there's plenty of room for people like Stefano to really shine next season if that is the opportunity that he is looking for. So yeah, plenty of opportunity, but he's also got a lot of competition for that top honours, because with the way the midfield is looking at the moment, I can't pick out a single driver that looks like the favourite going into next season if some of our favourites in the championship do move away from the PS platform. So it's going to be very interesting next season. We're already talking about next season. This season's not even finished yet, but just keeping an eye on Louis. He's coming around the final corner. He is going to get blocked though at the final corner by his Shizou teammate Rowan, so I wonder if he's going to have something to say about that potentially. He crosses the line P9 in the end, so not a bad lap from Louis, but Rowan potentially impeding him there at the final corner. So we'll see if he has anything to say about that. But it wasn't too bad, but I think Rowan maybe a little bit maybe could have played that one a little bit safer and moved out of the way before the final corner just to let his Shizou teammate through.
Yes, if Louis goes a bit quicker later on, I'm sure he won't mind, to be honest. They are Shizou teammates after all. But if he doesn't improve, I think they will have something to say in the Shizou team chat at the end of the race, I have to say, or before the start of the race as well, having their little words as well. So we'll see. Sometimes people can get away with it, but usually blocking results in a qualifying ban for the next race, which is the final race of USA, which was a track that Legend won last season. Frankie came across the line to start off his run at the moment, the F2 champion from last season. He's gone off the track a little bit there, so he's not looking too comfortable at the moment, but he's going to pass a part of the track where you can see the old part of the track where is a chicane. You go past that and you go all the way around here, which I find a lot better, to be honest, because a lot more people find it accessible as well, especially if they're on a pad as well. They don't have to brake too much as well, and they gain a bit more power as well in terms of straight line speed as well. So here he comes, and this is a part where it's unchanged for Frankie as he heads start off sector 2, then the first of the DRS straight, as you can see here as well. Not many people tend to overtake here. They tend to overtake on the next straight as well. So that'll be interesting to see as well. So a lot of people can go for moves here as Frankie starts his sector 3 now. Not as competitive as the other drivers so far. We've got Ascombe on a lap currently as well. Oh, Frankie has invalidated his run, so that's his next run over. Desso's just about to start sector 1. I'm trying to see if anybody is improving on their runs at the moment. Markadov is going through the final set. Nope, he's about to start one actually. So most people are about to start their runs at the moment. Rudy, I believe, has just finished one ages ago. By the way, F2 pole was a 1:22.4. We're 1/10 shy of F2 pole at the moment, and Rudy has topped the Legend at the moment. So it is still doable for anyone to go quicker. At least a few temps, I think, still to be found from these guys at the moment. And by the way, Fabi in P5, that is, I think, the man that I've seen from Silverstone coming back. He has performed well in the last couple of races. He is definitely finding his form again in qualifying, it seems.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be, doesn't it? He started off the season well, had a dip kind of mid-season, and is now starting to find his feet again towards the latter stages of the season, which is nice to see. Another driver kind of doing the same at the moment is Ray. Had a great race last time out in Australia, and he's just coming up to the line now. Currently P7 on the grid. We'll see where he can go. Crosses the line, goes into P5, so manages to get into the top 5. And Desso crosses the line right behind, goes P6 in the house. So a good lap there from Desso, of course, who raced for the first time last time out and got his points on debut as well, just like Stefano did. Desso, another one to look out for tonight there. Maybe a bit of an underdog for tonight, but Fabi is finding more time on his lap. He's a 10th.5 up currently through the second sector, so he could potentially challenge for a second row spot here if he can finish off the lap well, and he does. He goes P3. Wow, good lap there from Fabi. That's a really, really nice lap from him. I think next across the line is one of the Alfa Romeos, I believe, but that is Surface just starting a lap, so we'll keep an eye on what the others can do. Another one as well, Nando, who started off the season a little bit low and has improved recently. As I say that, Marcados just crosses the line, goes P2 in the other Williams. So far, strong showing in qualifying from Williams. Williams is another team this season that have had potential and pace all season long and have just never quite been able to get on top of it, but as he did last season, Marcados coming on strong pace-wise at the end of the season, and Fabi doing the same as well. Currently Williams 2-4.
Yes, currently Williams are 7th in the Constructors, and I was expecting them to be a little bit higher, but there has been some races where they were lacking in pace. Last week they scored no point at all with the Williams outfit, which was a bit of a shame, but they still got a lot of work to do to try and get higher than their main rivals, of course. The ones at the bottom, by the way, is Haas, and the only person that could score for the Haas outfit tonight is Stefano, because reserves don't score points for the Constructors, so yeah, that is not good. But everyone else tonight for the Constructors can score points. I think I just saw someone cross the line. That was Alfa Romeo of Nando, comes across the line in P7. 1,000 slower than Rowan there at the moment. We'll see if Rowan can improve on his lap time at the moment as he's about to start his second run. He probably wanted to save a bit of tyre life, but unfortunately he has to go for a second run right now. We'll see if he can go near his championship rival. We've got a Rudy P1, a Legend P3, and a Rowan P6 at the moment, which strongly suggests it could go to USA as it stands, but we'll see if Rowan can improve his 122.7 and see if he doesn't get blocked on his run at the moment. We got Legend who's going into the pits. He can't improve on his second run, unfortunately. Frankie in the middle sector currently, going through the first of the long DRS straight, goes to a left, then a right, and then going on to this back straight as well, where overtakes can be made from all drivers, and we'll see how competitive his lap time can be in relation to the likes of Stefano, Jensen as well. 6/100ths quicker than his previous best, and not by much, but the field is quite condensed already by a second, so it only takes a small margin of error for people to gain time around here. As I'm just seeing if anyone else is about to finish. Rudy, I'm trying to get on board with Rudy, but it won't let me at the moment. There we go. Rudy's going through the middle sector, so we'll follow his teammate to start off with as he's about to finish his run. 122.8 slots him into P9, so he found 3 temps in that final sector. That final sector was looking very competitive, running on board with Rowan at the moment as he dives into the pits. I thought he would have gone again, but Nebby's not, so we weren't able to see if his last few sectors were competitive, unfortunately. Oh, Kazizzle has had a bit of a spin in the last part of the circuit. Luckily he's ghosted, because otherwise Rudy would have found a lot of trouble down there. Rudy's about to finish his lap. Can he improve on his pole time? The answer to that is yes, by 19,000 of a second. But still a lot of time to be found. Rudy on pole, Marcados second, Legend third, Rowan only in P7.
Yeah, good lap there from Rudy, even with a bit of a messy final corner. So there was maybe potentially a bit more time on the board there for Rudy, but still a pretty decent lap from him. But with him doing that lap now, that's the end of his session. He's not going to get back to the pit lane in time to get another run in. So Rudy's gone early compared to everybody else for their final runs. They're just going to sit in the pits and wait for everybody to do their runs. But as qualifying has gone this season, it seems to be everybody gets their best runs in on their second run, and then they throw it all at the final run and they can't improve. So Rudy maybe has got the right mindset there by going out maybe a little bit earlier than everybody else. I was keeping an eye on Legend, by the way. He was on a lap, but for the second lap in a row, he made a mistake in the middle part of the lap, and he didn't improve his time. He was slightly up in the first sector and then dropped in the middle part of the lap. So that's 2 laps in a row now where Legend has tried to improve and has made a mistake. So maybe Legend not quite fully comfortable with the track. Same as Rowan as well. I was on board with Rowan for his lap, and he went deep into the chicane on the back straight, turn 7, I believe the corner is now. Just broke a little bit too late and missed the apex, and from there the lap was kind of over. So that's why Rowan bailed on that final run to come into the pit lane for another lap. But of course he went out on the mediums at the start of qualifying, which is why he was able to come in for another set. By the way, Desso's gone out differently to everybody else as well, and he's 2.5 tenths up in the middle sector. So this is looking like a really neat lap from Desso in the Haas. We'll see if he can improve in the final sector. Gets the car not quite to the apex of the final corner, but a neat run out, crosses the line, lost a bit of time in the final sector, but still goes up to P6. That's a good lap from Deso, but I think he'll maybe be a little bit annoyed that he's lost time in that final sector. If he'd kept that 10th that he'd found in the middle part of the lap, that would have put Deso third on the grid, and then he goes and retires on track, which is probably not the smartest idea in the world.
I don't think you're meant to do that in PSGL, so I think the stewards will have something to say about that, unfortunately, as Rudy has retired as well. He thinks no one else can improve on his lap time, which is very, very brave, I have to say. We do know the track evolves pretty quickly around Abu Dhabi, but as tradition dictates, as we were saying, there were many F1 races this season where no one was able to improve on their final run. So if Rudy is confident in ensuring that he can be top of the standings, then, that'll be very, very brave for him and a very good decision. But obviously we'll have to wait and see. Can Rudy keep his pole position? Let us know in the live chat. Keep your comments coming in. Get your pole predictions. Who you think's going to get pole? And who do you think, well, can Legend claim the title tonight? Or will someone else claim the title? Pretty much anyone can claim the top title tonight in the top three. But the only way that the other two can claim the title tonight is for Legend to not score. So Legend, basically, if Legend scores, then Rowan and obviously Rudy will need to pretty much finish a certain position. But obviously we'll keep you informed as it continues. Ray is going to finish off his run. He's going to be one of the first people to set his final runs. He may have time for one more, but he does not improve, unfortunately. So that is his qualifying done and dusted, and he's another driver that's retired on circuit. Another investigation for the stewards. Luca then is last at the moment. He's got some time to improve. Can he get to the 122s? The answer to that is no. The same time as Marlon, though. Down in P19. Frankie can't improve. He remained in 10th position. What about... I think his AI's is certainly on track at the moment. We got Louis in the middle sector. I think we got one of the Mercedes who's stopped on circuit. That was Tom in the middle sector, so he can't improve. Brock then, he comes to the line. Can he beat his teammate? The answer to that is no. He is in 15th, 123 flat, which is a nice lap to tell you the truth in terms of look and feel of things. I do believe one of the Williams is about to cross the line, and it's Markados with a 122.447. Great lap time from him. I think it's pretty much matches the F2 pole time at the moment, which I have to say is quite incredible. Legend can't improve. We'll see what Louis has done. Louis, don't forget, got pole in Monaco and won his first race in the top tier. We've got a few people coming across the line. Namaya is in third position right now. Rowan goes up to fourth. What can Louis do? Can he get pole? The answer to that is no. So the only person that can snatch, no, is not Tom. So Tom's down in 15, he's invalidated as well. So with the same pole time as the F2 pole, Markados is in P1. Incredible.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Great for Markados at the end. And again, Rudy not quite able to get pole position, but for Rudy, great qualifying. He's ahead of his championship rivals. Legend, again, 3 laps in a row, could not improve on that run in the first part of the session. So end up only 6th on the grid for Legend. Rowan ended up 4th in the end, so he did get a decent run in at the end of the session, but he left it to the very last minute to do so. Rudy, though, top of our 3 championship protagonists in this one here, and Rudy's kind of been the one on a bit of a downward spiral in the championship as of recently, but that's maybe a bit of a confidence boost for Rudy going forwards, that he's ahead of both of his championship rivals going into this race. The only downside is that he's alongside Markados, and those two have had comings together in, I think, 2 of the last 3 races.
Well, luckily that neither of them got penalised last week with their instance. That was great to see. So we've got Markados, Rudy, Namaya, Rowan, Louis, Legend, Fabi, Deso, Kazizel, Asacombe, your top 10. Asacombe with not a very good qualifying session. And we got Nando, Frankie, Ray, Steph, Tom, Brock, your top 16. And we got Marlon, Service, Jensen and Luca Kart making up your top 20, separated by 7/10 of a second. And before we go anywhere, let's have a quick word from our title sponsor, GT Omega. Welcome back to PSGL Season 32, the penultimate round of the season in the Abu Dhabi Yas Marina circuit, where a champion can be crowned in the name of legend, but we still have Rudy and Rowan nipping at his heels as well. And we've had an interesting qualifying session. Markados on pole, Rudy in P2. Rudy, last few races haven't been that great, whereas the other two were able to take advantage. Can Rudy prove the doubters wrong tonight and get himself back in the championship fight? So we will have to wait and see. 5 seconds remaining before the race is due to begin. So we'll have to wait and see how this championship will unfold as the 5 red lights are coming up your screen right now. Markados on the left, Rudy on the right. Who's going to get the best start? And it is go, go, go here in Abu Dhabi. Who's got the best start out of anyone? We'll have to wait and see. Rudy is tucked behind Markados into turn number 1. Louis had a good start already up to P3. Nami's dropped down to P4. Fabi as well, having a poor start down to P7. Legend overtaking Deso up to P6 right now. There's a lot of movement happening in the background so far. No major issues so far, but we'll see down this newly profiled bit of the circuit if they can manage it. Rowing down the inside of Namaya into that new profile chicane. Now he's down into P5 as Namaya gets the cut back at this moment in time. So Namaya back up into 4th place, but can Rowan fight back on to this next part of this chicane as well? Oh, it's a bit of a tank sound from all the drivers as well. A little bit of a bump there from Namaya. Namaya has had a bit of a spin. Pile up from some of the drivers, and well, Rowan has had a bit of an issue, it seems, and he's down to 14th, and this could be championship costly.
That really could. That is such a shame for Rowan. All big contact as well at turn 9. I think that's Nando that's been involved with one of the Haas cars at turn 9. Even more contact in the midway through the lap. But yeah, really messy back chicane there at turn 7 and 8. I think Namaya just lit up the rear tyres and almost spun coming out of the chicane. Rowan was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's got a damaged front wing. He's limping his way back to the pit lane. What a shame for Rowan, who's had such an upturn in speed as of recently. That is horrible luck on the first lap of the race for Rowan. I think Legend had to get out of the way of all of that incident as well, and has managed to drop behind Fabi and Kazizel in that as well. So Legend's lost out in all of that chaos. So really, really crazy start to the lap. So top 3 have kind of gotten away from the rest of the field. There was a bit of contact between Rudy and Louis at the same chicane as well, which maybe backed the field up a bit. But what that has done is given Markados a lovely gap at the front of the field. He's nearly broken DRS already. Of course, we've got another lap until DRS is enabled, but he is over that 1 second already. Fabi has lost touch as well with the top 3. So quite spread out at the front of the field, and I think Ray's had a moment further down the field as well in the Alpha Tauri by the looks of things. Yeah, he's off the road on the outside of turn 5. So a lot of things going on in the opening couple of laps. It's been so tame on the first lap for most of the season. This has been quite a chaotic first lap of the race.
Yeah, that's Abu Dhabi for you, unfortunately. Everyone started on the hard compounded tyres, and the carnage continues in PSF1 as Namaya has gone off the circuit as well. Namaya's troubles are pretty much going from bad to worse at the moment. It's Kazizel and Legend going side by side into turn number 9 as Legend's been very, very brave to try and hold that one from Kazizel. Can he hold his line? The answer to that is yes. Legend is up to P5 of this race right now, and Kazizel is in P6. How do they keep it clean? I don't know, but that is how you keep it clean in turn 9 for these two. Good job to the both of them so far. Rowan has gone on to the medium compounded tyres, but since he's got a championship to contend with, that's why he is not giving up. He is staying in this race so far as Markados' lead has dropped down into 0.6 of a second as Rudy started to pick up the pace a little bit. Let's hope they can keep it cleaner, unlike the last couple of races as well. As Ray is out of the session, he's retired in the pit lane. Luckily, no safety car for the drivers, so I think that'll be a relief for quite a lot of the drivers, to be honest, because they all started on the hard compounded tyres. DRS is activated, and don't forget there are some possibility of changes in real life that the DRS could be activated possibly a lap earlier, which could be kind of interesting. I really hope it does, because it may come for interesting racing, but it doesn't give us an idea what the first opening laps could be like. So again, we'll obviously have to wait and see. I need to get the ERS up for you. There we go. We are starting to see Fabi in particular using up a lot of ERS in the first lap, and a track like that where it's been updated so much, you can't afford to pretty much lose that too many ERS, and that's really disadvantaged him as Legend has got past Fabi. Legend has got way more ERS than him, and Fabi was just using all of it to defend from the cars behind him.
Yeah, I think he potentially tried to use some of it to see if he can close in on the top 3, but at the same time he was using his. Rudy and Louis were losing theirs to get closer to the back of Marcados, so Fabi's ended up burning his ERS and not gaining anything. So I think he's now just decided to sit behind Legend and see if he can save some ERS back up. But Legend immediately has got some pace on him. Look at that, a 26.4. Great lap there from Legend. He has got some pace. He is almost 8/10 clear of Fabi already. He is flying up to the back of this top 3, trying to see if he can get into their range and start fighting for the lead. And of course, if Legend can get within range of this top 3 and finish, I believe, on the podium, that would knock Rowan out of championship contention as it stands right now. If Legend finishes in 3rd or above and Rowan doesn't score any points, Rowan is out of the championship. So that is Legend's potential target here, is if he doesn't beat Rudy, he can at least knock one of his rivals out of the championship standings. So that would be very interesting to see if he can do that. The only problem now, though, is that the top 3, well, 2nd and 3rd, have got DRS. So while Legend can gain in the slower parts of the lap, he's going to be losing down these straights, and the DRS zones are quite powerful around this track. So you can see the gap. It was down to about 1.6 seconds. It's now growing almost to 2 seconds by the time it gets to the end of the second back straight. So for Legend, I fear, unless there's maybe a bit of a fight or a battle at the front of this field, this could be a bit of a difficult fight for Legend to get back close to this top 3. I think he'll probably pit early maybe and try and see if he can get close to them. But either way, I think Legend's already on the back foot at this point in the race. Looking further down the field, by the way, there was a bit of contact between Nando and Stefano looking back at it. I think they've both gotten away with it without really any too much problem. Stefano in 10th, Nando in 9th, so they seem to have just about gotten away with that.
Yes, at the moment, the gap between, obviously, Legend and Rudy will be 4 points. So Rudy will pretty much close the gap to 4 points if it finishes as it stands. So Legend will still win the championship, well, not win the championship, lead the championship if things finish as it stands. And it will go on to USA in Kota as well, a track where he performs ever so well. I'm worried I might jinx him for next week, but there we go. It might make the championship even more exciting. A few drivers are breaking free of DRS at the moment, Legend in particular on Louis, so that is going to probably give the guys behind Legend even more of a chance. But even Fabi is losing a touch of Legend as well, so it's Kazizel's chance, and Frankie has had a very good start to the race already. He's up into 7th position, and we will get the position gain at the moment. He's gained the most out of everybody in this top 10, up 5 places. Luca Carr's had a good start as well, gained 6 places so far. Has Marlon's gained 5 places. Jensen up 4, he's had a good start of the race as well. We've got the likes of Fabi, Legend, and Louis has gained 2. Deso not had the best of starts. He's already out of the points. He's dropped down 3 places, down to 11th position, and he has his teammate for tonight, Steph, who is behind, well, pretty much in front of him as is Stan. Look at the view at the stadium section at the hotel. It looks absolutely phenomenal, and we could see a champion crown, just like we saw in 2010 at the last moment, where 4 drivers were in the championship hunt. Fernando Alonso, Mark Webber, Sebastian Vettel, and Lewis Hamilton. I believe Sebastian Vettel wasn't even leading the championship at any point, and you only need to be leading the championship in the final race and you'll be crowned champion. That's it. You could be leading the championship for one half of the season, but if you're not leading it at the last race, then you're not champion. It's as simple as that, as Frankie's looking very competitive from the back of Zizzle right now. I don't know what's happening with Frankie, but this is the pace I've been wanting to see all season. Maybe he's getting used to this too a little bit more. He's got a lot of ERS actually, and DRS, so the straight line speed could be perfect for him, or maybe he can wait to the next straight. He's going to go for it now as well. He may be boxed in by the likes of Fabi as well, so this could be very, very interesting going through this chicane as well. They're locking wheels there, and how on earth do they avoid contact there? Fair play to all 3 of them. Frankie is up into 5th position right now, and he literally was looking all around, looking at his moves to make sure, can he make the move, can he not? And that was absolutely insane from Frankie. Brilliant job, and yeah, I tried to go for a move there 3 wide, and I just can't do it. So it just shows how competitive this tier very is, and that was a very, very calculated move from Frankie.
Yeah, that was a lovely move from Frankie there. Yellow flag further down
Jensen.
the field. That is Jensen, the other Aston Martin, having a spin horror show of a race so far for Aston Martin. Unfortunately, yeah, Jensen, his bad season continues. He's now down to 18th position. But yeah, lovely move there from Frankie. Opportunistic as well to get down the inside. He saw Fabi derating because Izzle wasn't pushing that hard. Frankie gets the pair of them. And like you said, yeah, this is kind of what we've been expecting of Frankie all season long. It's just never really happened for some reason, never materialised the pace that he came into the season with. But he's really starting to show it now at the latter stages, just when he's a bit under pressure. So good move there for Frankie, up 7 places already in this race from 12th to 5th, and we're only on lap 7, so it's been a brilliant start for Frankie, and that's of course going to help McLaren manufacturers wise for the end of the season. Of course, McLaren are currently 3rd. They're only 3 points behind Aston Martin, and Aston Martin, neither of them are in the points, so this would move McLaren into 2nd place. So this is definitely going to help them if he can hold that for the rest of the season. We've got Nando and oof. Thinking about a move on Asicombe, it was a bit of a dive, but he couldn't quite get there in the end. Asicombe holds on just about, but Nando's coming back at him. He's using a lot of ERS. I don't think Asicombe's going to want that. Asicombe's burning his ERS, and I think Nando wisely backs out of that one. The braking zone's too short for turn 9. He can't quite get there. But Nando again, showing his pace, trying to work his way through past his OP teammate.
Yep, he may be getting another place at the moment. He may gain 3 places, which is great to see. The only ones who have not gained or lost anything is Fabi, Rudy and Markados. They're the ones who stayed where they are, and that's good news, especially for the top 2. But I'm almost certain Rudy would want to get past Markados, but I wonder if he's just playing it safe at the moment, knowing the past history of Rudy and Markados, which is fair play, to be honest. At the moment, the gap will be 4 points between themselves and Legend, so you don't want to be taking too much risk, but at the end of the day, you've got a championship to win, and that could be very, very interesting indeed, and that means it could be wide open for USA if it finishes as it stands. But we all know that Legend wants to get past the drivers in front as well, but Louis has really good straight line speed. He's got the DRS as well, and plenty of ERS as well. Legend has only got 70% in attack right now, so he's got to pretty much be very patient and try to save in the next couple of laps before they go into the pit stops. Now, predicted pit stop strategy, well, it's going to be around about lap, if there's no safety car, lap 17, 16 area is when they're going to go onto the mediums, as hopefully I haven't jinxed myself, as Tom has had a bit of a moment. I need to check what turn that is, because I always get the wrong turn. That was, I think, turn 7 and 8. Roughly, yeah, it was around turn 7 and 8 that he had a bit of a coming together, unfortunately. But now heading towards turn number 9, Tom had another poor showing as well, and he was a runner-up last season, and I don't get why he hasn't been performing that well this season. Maybe because everybody else continues to be improving and he is not, or maybe the grid is just a little bit more competitive this season.
Yeah, potentially. It's really bizarre, though. Like you say, with Denurco winning and Tom finishing in 2nd, you would then naturally assume that Tom would be one of the front runners for the next season. But, of course, he got robbed of a potential win in Bahrain earlier in the season. He's had 2 podiums. He's had a 2nd place in Monaco, and he had a 3rd place in Zandvoort. But ever since he got that podium in Monaco, he's not really done anything really this season, has he? He's really struggled for this season. He's only scored 7 points since Monaco, and Monaco was round 5. So it's been a real shocker of the latter half of the season for Tom. Really, it's kind of a shame to see, because, like you say, he did so well last season. He had such a strong run. I think it was impossible really to shine with Denurco in the field, as Tom's trying to come back at surface now and trying to regain some of those places he just lost. See, in a season that was dominated by Denurco, Tom still shined as a standout driver, but it just hasn't translated into this season, and it's sad to see, because we know he's got more pace than what he's showing at the moment. So yeah, hopefully he can come back strong next season. If he is continuing on the PS platform next season, hopefully he can come back strong and restart really for next season, and hopefully that will be a bit of a benefit to him. By the way, just looking at our top 4, Legend burnt all the way through his ERS to get to the back of Louis. He's managed to get to the back of Louis, and now he's just saving ERS. So Legend's race is somewhat salvaged now that he's got to the back of this lead train. And for the first time in a long time, I think, well, probably the first time since Monaco, when Louis completely dominated, we are seeing a big split in the top of the field, aren't we? The top 4 are well over 5 seconds clear of Frankie, and Frankie's very close to dropping because he's out of DRS range. So the top 4 are miles clear of the rest of the field at the moment.
And it's great to see, actually, from Markados and Louis that they really find their feet around this track. Obviously, we were expecting that of Louis because it's a similar track to Monaco. Monaco's a bit more narrow, but Louis kind of likes these type of tracks. But Markados, has had a few poles in his time in F1, but it hasn't really translated himself into a race win yet, as Namaya gets past service in the background up to P16, and we always keep saying each week, oh, Markadov's getting pole, will that translate to a win? One race, no. And then he gets pole again, does that translate to a win? No, it does not. And to be honest, he's had a weak start to last season and a strong ending to last season. He had a very strong start to this season, and the last few races, he hasn't been that good. Maybe he can turn the tide a little bit and show what he's really made of, as Tom gets past his teammate on the back straight, heading towards turn 9, as he's up into P14 now. Not quite in points range yet. Oh, it's Tom has had another spin as well. No, it wasn't Tom, it was Brock. I was trying to keep in touch with both of the Mercedes. I said the wrong one. There we go. Brock has had a bit of a moment. Brock's down to P18 on the road as well. His tyres must be even hot at the moment. He's going to hope for a late safety car, otherwise his race is over, unfortunately. Yeah, apart from that, not much is happening in terms of the top 4 at the moment, but we could see some changes in the midfield, and that is very great to see. We could see a battle for the last point as well. Don't forget, we got the battle for 4th place in the driver's standings with the likes of obviously Asacombe and Tom, and Asacombe being ahead of these guys, and also Kazizel being ahead as well. Kazizel's looking like the favourite to gain 4th place at the moment, and that could really help him in the championship next season if he decides to stay, and quite a lot of people go to PC. You never know, to be honest. I don't know who's going to PC next season out of any of the drivers. I think the only one I know who's going to PC is Rudy, I think, but we'll see. We're almost heading half race distance of this Grand Prix. If you are liking this race, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell if you are new, and also check out our sponsor GT Omega, where you can get 5% off all GT Omega products by using the code PSGL, and the PSF1 champion will get a voucher from GT Omega themselves, so they can spend some great money on some great GT Omega products without using their own money, so that's great to see as well. But who will it be? Will it be Legend? Will it be Rowan? Or will it be Rudy? Well, we will either find out by the end of tonight, or most likely, as it stands, by the end of next week. But as it stands, if it's to finish as it is, Rowan will be out of the championship fight, and that is very sad.
Yeah, it's really sad, especially with it just being because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time with somebody else's incident. It wasn't really anything of his own doing whatsoever. Namaya just lost the car in a traction zone, and Rowan was right next to him when it happened, and that is really unlucky, unfortunately, for the Aston Martin driver. He is still going, as you would expect, hoping for that late safety car, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we get to lap 25 and there's no safety car, Rowan pulls out of this race and out of the championship, which would be such a shame to see, as Tom has had another spin. So it was a lap and a half later than you initially said, but Tom has had another spin, and that's now both Mercedes down the field, and Jizu as a team are having a bit of a horror show tonight. They've got 4 drivers at the back of the field, all having had incidents at some point in this race. So not a great race so far for Jizu as a team. And
and he's out.
Oh, and Tom's out.
Safety car?
Tom has spun the car. Will that be a safety car? Yes, it will. Yes, it will be a safety car on the exit of turn 5. I guess the tyres were hot after that spin. He's dropped it on traction, hitting the wall on the exit. Safety car is out. Now, what do the hard runners do? I think all of the hard runners, you've got to assume, are going to pit for a set of mediums. The mediums aren't going to be great to the end of the race. They will probably get to the end. They probably will make it in terms of tyre wear. In terms of grip, I don't think they're going to be that great. And we've seen already that even on not that worn hards, it's still very difficult to keep the car on the road. So this could be a very interesting pit stop phase.
Yes, it can last 15 laps around this circuit, but it won't be the most optimal going towards the end of the race, to be honest. And maybe Rowan can go on a fresh set of mediums if he selects the balance option as well. So pretty much everybody will go on a set of the mediums. If anyone's not, then how their tyres are going to get to a crucial point of the race, I do not know. Which means there'll be no undercut, unfortunately, but there might be a few double stacking from some of the drivers. Now, I don't know what has happened. That is quite interesting, as a timing tower's glitch for some reason. Oh no, it's back to where it was. Okay, that's all good. So I think we've got a few double stacks in the back. Desso's dropped down to 14th place. Obviously, Rowan's come into the pit as well. Brock is, but yeah, everyone has pretty much gone into the pits. Namaya's gone for softs. Now, softs last 9 laps. And we got more than 9 laps to go of this race. Do you think he was meant to do that?
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a correct call for Nemai. Unless he's going to pit again, and he's picked maybe a harder set of compounds. He's got 2 hards in his pack. That is definitely a possibility. So whether he's going to do that, potentially, I'm not sure. Or whether he's expecting there to be another safety car at some point, then I'm not quite sure. But either way, yeah, not the right call there for Nemai, especially considering he hadn't pitted yet either. So it wasn't as if he had run out of medium compound tyres. He hadn't pitted yet, so he would have had some mediums still left. Just having a look, by the way, at everyone coming out the pit lane. Frankie got quite lucky, actually, that the gap between the top 4 and himself was so big, because him double stacking behind his teammate didn't cost him anything. Nando's had a great pit stop phase. He's now 6th all of a sudden in the Alfa Romeo, so he's gained 3 places in that pit stop phase. One person who wasn't quite so lucky with the double stack, though, was Kazizel. He's gone from 6th down to 9th. So him and Nando have basically swapped places in this pit stop phase. While Frankie wasn't affected by the double stack, both Kazizel and Fabi were. They've dropped down to 9th and 10th, and Frankie stayed 5th. So a little bit of a play out there with that kind of things, and that's benefited. Asakoma is up to 7th, and Stefano is now into P8, so he's benefited from that as well. I think the one person, though, that will probably be most agreed by this, I would say, would be Legend, because I feel like Legend had the pace in 4th place, and I think if he'd pitted maybe a lap earlier than the drivers in front of him, he could have ended up in the lead of this race potentially. And now without that safety car, that strategy element's maybe taken out of it, and he has to do all of his passing on track in a DRS train. So I think for Legend, the safety car is something that he didn't want.
No, I don't think Rudy or Marcos or Louis would want the safety car either, to be honest. And like we've seen in F2 earlier, safety car breeds safety cars. So I hope that doesn't mean we get any more today. I think it only took around about lap 12 for us to get a safety car. So they were keeping it clean to that point. And it wasn't because people made contact with anyone. It was just Tom that went into a wall and was spinning, unfortunately. But it's a bit of a shame for Tom, and to be honest, his championship came to an end last week anyway, and he was going to hope he can salvage something from this one, but he may lose out on 4th place too, which I think will be absolutely gutting. So I think it'll be a 2-way fight for P4 in the standings now between Asakome and Kazizel. So best of luck to both of them in the fight for P4 in the standings. So I'll run through your order then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as we approach halfway distance. Marcos is still leading the race. He hasn't, pretty much, he's led a single lap without fail. Rudy in P2, Louis in 3rd, Legend in 4th, Frankie in 5th, Nando in 6th, Asakome in 7th, Steph in 8th, Kazizel 9th, and Fabi in 10th position. Safety car is in this lap. Fastest lap at the moment belongs to Rowan, and you do not get points if you are outside the top 10 anyway. You only get a fastest lap point if you're inside the top 10. So yeah, Rowan trying to take it away from the championship contenders, of course, because like you were saying earlier, the fastest lap point could decide this championship, as Marcos then, pretty much the safety car kept came in a lot earlier than we were expecting.
Yeah, it came in a little bit earlier, like you say, maybe a lap earlier than I was expecting, but actually the field were all quite close after their pit stop phase, so it didn't matter in the end. That it came in quite quickly, so we now got to wait to see where Marcos goes. I imagine he's going to leave it quite late for the safety car restart. He's let the car go in, he's driven himself off the track. We'll see when he goes, but yeah, he's got a job ahead of him now. He had just 3 drivers behind him before the pit stop phase. He's now got everybody back behind him again, and there he goes. He goes just before the final corner.
Yes, that was a very, very good restart from him, like you said. Rudy is managing to follow him suit as well. I'm trying to see who else has had a good restart. Marlon's had a good restart as well. Fabi has been caught napping in the background. Rowan trying to get past Brot down the inside up to P16. But so far, all so good right now. But it's going to be about turn 5, turn 6. The very tricky moments of the track where people have been losing it. Tonight we'll have to wait and see, as Legend has got past Louis. This is crucial for this championship, as Legend up into 3rd place. His next target is Rudy, and that straight line speed that Legend is having is incredible at the moment. And we got Louis still trying to attack him down this back straight. Oh, I hope this doesn't lead to more contact. Oh, Legend spun! Legend has spun! This could be huge. Now, we did say earlier on in the broadcast that if Legend doesn't score, this could be championship over. Can we see the championship leader, the championship favourite, be taking out the championship by the end of tonight? It could be possible. It could be possible.
It could be, yeah. He still will be mathematically in contention no matter what happens tonight, but he will be well out of contention if Rudy still finishes in second place. But, oh, God, we could kind of see that one coming, couldn't you? He'd gone for the dive bomb move at turn 5, which was all fair and square. They were bumping down the straight. Legend didn't want to leave Louis any room on the outside of the chicane, and Louis just decided he wasn't having anything of it and ended up retaliating in the sense that the apex of turn 8, Louis is in the pits. I wouldn't be surprised if he retires in this race, but he is in the pit lane either way.
He doesn't give up.
That is such a... Yeah, he definitely doesn't, but he's Legend down to 15th. Legend will have gotten away with no damage, luckily, so there's nothing in terms of holding him back now, but him and Rowan are both on a recovery drive now from this point. It is not over for Legend. He can still get points from here, and knowing Legend, he probably will still get points from here. Same for Rowan as well, but they have got a long way to go, and this has opened a massive door for Rudy in this championship, who has been falling. Remember, Rudy at some point had over a wins distance in championship lead at the midpoint of the season, and he's now dropped to third in just 4 rounds. It's been a horror show of the last few rounds for Rudy, and now it's all starting to fall back in his favour in this one round. There's more contact. Oh, big contact at turn 7 and 8, and this time around, Legend's not got away from it this time around. He's involved in it this time. There was contact between Deso and somebody else. I think it might have been Deso and Rowan going side by side in the chicane. Rowan trying to get the move for 12th place. Him and Deso have made contact. Deso spun, didn't ghost in time. And just as I was saying, Legend had the opportunity to come back. Now he may not, because he has front wing damage, and so does Brock in the Mercedes' front as well. He got away with the first incident at the chicane. Next time around, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and just like Rowan on lap 1, Legend is potentially out of it.
Well, looking at the championship standings as it was, because Rudy is now 2nd, Legend 16th, Rudy will be leading the title by 4 points. 4 points will be the current gap at the moment. Rudy will be on 94, Legend will be on 90, and Rowan will be on 82. So, to be honest, Rowan has got Legend to thank, because Rowan is technically still in this title fight by 8 points. So we will still potentially have a 3-way title fight going into USA. So I think Rowan will definitely give Legend a pat on the back after tonight, to be honest. But Legend did not want that to happen. He's going on a set of softs. Will not make it to the end, but we'll have to wait and see. But this is going to open the doors, definitely, for Rudy. And to be honest, even if Rudy wins the race tonight, Rudy could not win the title tonight. The only people that could win the title tonight, if Legend doesn't score, is Rowan, but that could not happen. So pretty much, as it stands, if Legend DNFs or does not score, no matter what, the title fight goes to USA, and that's what we've been wanting all along, but not in this way.
Yeah, definitely not in this way. That is so unlucky for Legend. He's now down to 16th. He's going to get past Brock fairly soon, you would imagine. Now is a bit of a conundrum for Rudy, because, as you say, it's a 4-point lead if it finishes like this going into the next round of the final round of the championship. But remember, it's only 4 points between a first and a second place finish in this championship. So that's not really that much of a gap in the grand scheme of things for Rudy. Does Rudy just settle for second and get the points and take the lead into the final round, or does he push and take the win of this race? Right away, further down, Kazizel's made a mistake at turn 3. Marlon is through. Fabia's trying to get through as well. So Kazizel had just gained a few places and has now dropped a couple with a little mistake there. Lukaku all of a sudden is in the points from absolutely nowhere in this Ferrari. Qualified last on the grid, remember, Lukaku, and now he's fighting for P9 with Kazizel, who was running in the top 5 earlier on. This has really played into his hands, but yeah, does Rudy settle for second, or does he fight for the win? Does he try and get an 8-point lead going into the final round of the championship, which would help him even further, which would mean he would only really need to finish third. He would only need to finish third in a championship race. It wouldn't matter where Legend or Rowan would finish, because they wouldn't be able to beat him if Rudy finished at least on the podium. So does he go for the win? The only problem is that if he does go for the win, he's got to fight with Marcados. And the problem there is that every time they fought in the last 3 races, they've come together and made contact. So I don't know if Rudy wants to risk it or not, because it's Rudy going for a title, but he's already in the title lead, and he's up against Marcados, who is going for his first win in the top tier.
And We've got an interesting fight on our hands for the podium as well. We got Nando and Frankie battling for their first podium in PSF1. We were talking about the championship all the time. We'll talk about the other drivers as well. Nando and Frankie have never achieved podiums in PSF1. Frankie was struggling a little bit in this F1 season, and he's really starting to come to his own. He's been avoiding the contact which has plagued him in the last race. Don't forget, he DNF'd last week in Australia on the opening lap, and it's starting to come into fortune for the McLaren driver. Both McLarens are performing so well that this can help them in the constructors' fight as well, which could be very, very intense already. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays. Both Nando and Frankie performing very well. Steph as well in P6. Marlon as well. Rowan is in the point at the moment, but not on penalties at the moment. He's got past Cazidlo. The next place he's got to get past is Luca Kart. The more places he gains, the more benefit he would gain on himself, because he will still be in his championship fight at the moment. But yeah, we've got 11 laps to go of this PSF1 race around Abu Dhabi, and this is shaping up to be a great championship finale next week going into Qatar. But we still got 11 laps of this race still to go, obviously, and we still got a winner to be crowned. Can we see Markados take his first ever win in PSF1, or will we see Rudy take his... I'm trying to see how many wins he's got so far this season, and will we see Rudy take his third win of the season?
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? I think Rudy now is just going to sit and wait. I think Rudy's going to wait until there's mathematically not a chance of a safety car in this race, and then I think he'll go for the win. I think if there's going to be another safety car in this race, Rudy doesn't want to risk it and be the cause of the safety car potentially. So I think he'll go when that opportunity has gone further down the field. Cazidlo continues to drop. I wonder if Cazidlo's got some sort of damage on that car that we can't see, because he is plummeted like a stone in the last few laps. There's no obvious damage on that car. He might have a little bit of front wing damage or something on the side pod or the floor of that car, but yeah, he is dropping big time in the latter stages of this race, which only helps Asacombe, of course, in his battle for P4. Remember, in the championship as well, Tom's out of the race because this was now out of the points. Asacombe is the only one really in that fight for P4 in the standings that is in the points at the moment, and he's currently P5 with an opportunity at podium. So Asacombe here, after a terrible mid-season, and of course he had a race ban at one point this season, did Asacombe for picking up too many penalty points, could still be on for fourth in the title, which would be a great recovery from what's been a really bad mid-season for the AlphaTauri drivers. So yeah, still a lot to look out for. And while all of this is going on as well, we've completely ignored some great drives from other drivers as well. Where on earth has Stefano come from in this race? He is currently P6 in the Haas and has been completely under the radar.
He's
about to go
move.
for P5. Yeah, because Asacombe's missed the apex of the final corner. Can Stefano get the move done? Asacombe's going to have the inside line. Stefano can go all the way around the outside. It's who breaks the latest. They just about keep away from contact. Stefano has to go off the road. I think he'll back out of that one. He does smartly back out of that one. Didn't quite get there. But Stefano, wow, almost getting the move done on Asacombe into turn one. What a race Stefano's having.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me of Mick Schumacher last season, where he was struggling to get points, and once he got points, he kept getting points. And in the season before, George Russell, he struggled to get points in the Williams. As soon as he gets points in the Williams, he continues to get them. So this is kind of what we're seeing Stefano do at the moment. As soon as he starts getting points, he continues getting points, and to be honest, this is a track that he absolutely loves. And don't forget, he only got a repaired wheelbase a week ago, and he's already challenging for the top 5 as well. And bearing in mind, if any of us, Como or Frankie, come together, he could be on for 4th. So podium is still on the cards for Stefano. He just can't give up, because anything can happen in F1, and it usually does. We saw that in F2 earlier as well, and there's still some battling happening in the background as well. We've got the likes of Barbie, Luca Kart, Rowan, Service battling for the final point as well, and if they having a coming together, that could be a huge issue. Oh no, Nando's got his first penalty, a 3-second time penalty added to his name. I hope it's not a triple warning. If it is a triple warning, I'm almost certain that would get removed, but Nando's chance for podium could be over, and it's a shot between Frankie, Asacombe and Steph now for a podium as well. That will be amazing to see. Marlon might be in for a podium as well, and I think for a lot of these guys, they just kept it clean, and they're reaping the rewards at the moment.
Yeah, they really are, aren't they? It's been a bit of a chaotic race, and those keeping it clean have done the best job. We've got a yellow flag. That is Brock, who's had another moment down at turn 9. So Brock, both Mercedes having an absolute shocker of a race so far by their standards. A bit more potentially fighting going on further up the field as well. I'm just looking, by the way, just looking in the chat, seeing Will Murdoch's message in there. Rowan can get that penalty removed potentially. Like you say, Rowan, I think, got that penalty when coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 1 after getting that damage. That does, of course, rely on Rowan, though, not picking up any other warnings in this race. If you just pick up more warnings in this race, and then that penalty can't get removed just based on that. So we'll have to wait and see. As well, another yellow flag. I think that is Desso now. Yeah, who's had a spin coming out of turn 1 by the looks of things, and just kept going without any damage, so no safety car yet. But I think Markados and Rudy, every time they see a yellow flag, are kind of clenching, aren't they? Because they don't want a safety car. The last thing they want in this race now is a safety car.
Yes, I think when they see yellow flags pop up on the top left-hand side of their screen, they're like, please no safety car, please no safety car. Sometimes, I'm near the back, I think safety car, safety car, safety car. But if you're near the front, you're not hoping for a safety car because you want to control the pace up a little bit as well. And Rudy's not taking any risk, and this is what I like to see. I think he's saving up all his energy for the final race of the season in USA, where he can really fight for this championship. And fair enough, to be honest, that's what I would do if I was Rudy, to be honest, because we've seen the trouble that Rudy's been having with Markados this season. But yeah, from his standards, it looks like he's not challenging for the win today. But if he's not careful, the likes of Frankie and Nando could be challenging for P2 as well. But Frankie's Rudy's teammate. They're in the same esports team. Frankie knows that Rudy's challenging for the title. I don't think Frankie will be fighting with Rudy too much as well. And this is good for Frankie in a way as well. He can help Rudy so much in this Drivers' Championship battle. All of this is helping Rudy and Markados increase the gap so much more with those two keeping fighting, as Dessa has retired in the pit lane, it looks like. So that was a heart-clenching moment because we thought there was going to be another safety car, but luckily no safety car thus far at this moment in time. But yeah, still a fight for the podium on track at least as well between 4 drivers, and we can see a new winner and a new podium. Another yellow flag. That is Dessa's AI. Okay, that almost gave me a heart attack then, but yeah, this has been a great race for our top 3 so far, but it's still all to play for at the moment. We still can have late safety cars, we still can have drama from any of our top guys, I hope not, but as Frankie has gone a bit wide a little bit, and that has given Asicombe a lot of bravery, and he could try and get past Frankie for P4.
He definitely could, yeah. I've got my eye on Asicombe here. I think he's a bit of a dark horse to steal a podium here away from Frankie. Frankie is just struggling pace-wise to keep up a little bit with Nando in front. By the way, Jensen's had a spin now at turn number 2, so Jensen's his miserable race as well continues here in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, I think Frankie's just struggling pace-wise to keep up with the back of Nando, so I think this, if he does drop any further and loses DRS potentially, then Asicombe will be right there to pounce. We know what Asicombe is like. Any opportunity for a podium, Asicombe will take it. And in fact, he's got a run here on the back of Frankie. Could he potentially have a run into turn 9? No, he decides better of it. He doesn't go for it this time around. But Asicombe's car, even without using ERS, is fast in a straight line. So that's definitely a warning for Frankie if he does drop out of the ERS range to Nando later on in this race. We'll keep an eye on what Rowan is doing as well. Rowan, at the moment, not really got any ERS to play with and is just kind of sat in a train of people all in the same boat at the moment. In fact, everybody in front of him has plenty of ERS to play with, and Rowan is the only one that doesn't. So Rowan kind of sat in a bad place here. He's kind of sat in 10th, can't really do much. I think he's just going to have to rely on a mistake from drivers in front to get any further up this field. By the way, we are 1 lap away from there not feasibly being any safety cars left in this race to potentially happen. So if a safety car is going to happen, it has to happen, I believe, on this lap. Otherwise, we will go safety car free to the end of the race. Another thing to note as well, I've just noticed, Nando was 0.7 of a second faster than Rudy on that last lap. Wow. Got to keep an eye on that, in case, unless the top 2 were just saving and just slowing the pace down to save the tyres, I'm not quite sure. But either way, with barely any ERS and a penalty to his name, Nando's race pace at the moment is absolutely astonishing. Yeah,
I think he's matching the top 2, but I was thinking about this earlier. I knew Rudy was pretty much taking it easy and playing it safe. I wonder if Markados is playing it safe as well. I wonder if Markados doesn't want to repeat what happened in the last few races as well. So yeah, they're probably just saving their tyres, and don't forget there was a safety car way before the pit window was even open. So I think a lot of people are just trying to make sure that they can save a bit of tyre life so they can get to the end. We are almost in puncher territory. Let's hope we do not get into puncher territory. We have seen it before in a PSF1, but obviously we'll have to wait and see, as we've got a huge DRS train forming from pretty much P3 all the way down to P6 at the moment. And don't forget, Nando has got that 3-second time penalty to his name as well. So Nando will drop down to 6th in this race. But still, that will be a brilliant result for Nando if he can keep this up. And then we've got DRS train right behind Stefano. We've got Marlon, Fabi, Luca Kart, Rowan, Service and Cazizzo a fight for the final point. At the moment, the final point will go down to Service if Rowan picks up another warning. If Rowan picks up another warning, he can't challenge to get his penalty removed, unfortunately. But if he doesn't pick up a warning and he challenges to get his penalty removed, Rowan's chances of getting P10 is still alive. But as it stands, I'm trying to figure out where Rowan would finish if he was to pick up a penalty. He would finish, I believe, P12, and that will put him 12 points behind Rudy in the championship. But that will still put him mathematically in the fight. But he's going to need pretty much Rudy and Legend to bottle it next week and Rowan to win the race, which is statistically, well, it is not impossible, but it's going to be hard for him as Lamar goes into the pits for a set of the soft compound tyres. And I don't think we are going to get any safety cars now. So we're not going to get what happened in F2, where there was 5 safety cars, I believe. I might have jinxed myself, as Brock's had a bit of a moment. Luca Car's had a bit of a moment. There's been 2 pilots, and that was a severe collision with Cazizzo. Whoa.
Yeah, that was an unfair penalty there for Luca Kart. Actually, I was on board with Rowan as it happened. Luca Kart just spun in the middle of turn 9 purely on his own, and Cazizzo, I think, just kind of drove into the side of the Ferrari while it wasn't ghosted, basically, and that's given a penalty to Luca Kart, which is a bit of a shame. But even without that penalty, I think Luca Kart's out of the points now with that mistake anyway, so it's not going to affect his race too much. By the way, I've been looking at Rowan's his race director just to keep an eye on his penalties and his warnings. He did get a triple warning on the opening lap of this race, but since then he's had at least 2 warnings. So one of them, I believe, is a contact warning. 2 of the other ones might be track violations. So if that is the case, then Rowan will not be able to get that penalty removed, if that is the case. So that is one thing to note going forward.
Rudy was very close to Marcados that lap, as Frankie going side by side with Nando, and Frankie's just continuing to come alive in this race. And even though he did need to get past Nando anyway, he did. He did get past Nando. So Frankie is up to 3rd on the road at least, which is great to see. We got a McLaren 2-3, and Nando, I think, will drop down to 6th anyway. Frankie didn't need to get that move done, but he did. Fair play to him. Sorry to interrupt you there. I think we had some moves going on. Rudy almost got past Marcados, and Frankie got past Nando.
Yeah, lovely move there, as I think because this also had a spin further down the field. Yeah, good move from Frankie, and I think for Frankie, that's less about passing Nando on track and more about putting a buffer between himself and Asicome. So now Frankie can't get challenged by Asicome as easily, and that's going to benefit him in the fight for the final spot on the podium. And he is starting to drop Nando already, so Frankie's just pushing that a little bit more, going a bit further forward. By the way, if Rowan can't get that penalty removed, and he does get that penalty, he'll drop to 10th and still score 1 point. So there's only really a points difference in it at the moment as it stands anyway. He'll either get 2 or 1, depending on whether he gets that penalty removed or not as it stands. So we'll keep an eye on that one in the stewards room later on. Rudy, though, he had almost 100% ERS coming out of turn number 5. He's using some of it down the back straight, but does he want to do the move now, or is he going to wait for the second straight? No, he's going to go for it now. He didn't use a lot of ERS. He's down the inside, late on the brakes. Marcados, though, could get a very good switchback here, coming down the back straight. Yeah, Asicome's got through on Nando as well. Is Marcados going to come back at Rudy for the lead of this race? They're both burning a lot of ERS. Marcados to the outside line. He's got great straight line speed. I think he could get this move done as Rudy's going to try and stick it down the inside. Marcados holds the outside line. This is very risky racing for someone going for the title. They're still side by side as they come out of turn 9.
Fair
but
play.
I think Rudy has to give up that time. Yeah, fair play to Marcados. He gets back through. Only problem for Marcados now, though, he is derating. He is pretty much out of ERS. Rudy, though, I feel like he should have waited for the second straight. If he wanted to get that moved on solidly, I think he should have waited for the second straight rather than half-heartedly go for the move in the first one.
Yes, I think he probably regretted that, but at least he knows for the final lap of this race. And yeah, is this the same Marcados and Rudy we've been seeing? But I think they had a bit of a talking to with the stewards, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and they probably said to them, do not do it again. And I think they'd be warned if they do it again. So yes, I think they're afraid to do so at this moment in time. But we are going to see Marcados and Rudy fight for this win of this race, and that could mean huge for Rudy to extend his advantage. Well, in the top of the standings, we've got Frankie trying to close in as well. And if Marcos and Rudy have been coming together, yeah, Rudy has passed Marcos up into P1. And we thought he wasn't going to go for the move there, but he's not. Marcos, I think, is just wanting a bit of DRS going through the back straight, which I think good tactic for Marcos. So we'll see what he can do. And he's derating as well. And Rudy's got the straight line speed heading towards turn number 9. I think Rudy's going to keep this lead for Marcos. I don't think Marcos should have let Rudy through. I think he could have waited until a possible moment where Rudy has got no DRS to challenge him at the moment. Marlon has got past Fabi into P7. But yeah, that was an anticlimax I hope didn't see coming. But at the end of the day, this has helped Rudy at the end of the day extend his lead. Well, pretty much extend his gap at the top of the standing. He wasn't leading going into this race, but after tonight, he will be your championship leader. He does have the advantage going to USA next week. Rudy wins in Abu Dhabi by 1 second. Marcos in second. Frankie on the podium. His first podium in PSF1, and I'll have to say one of my drivers of the day this race due to his overtakes. Ascombe in 4th, Steph in P5, Nando P6, Marlon 7th, Fabi 8th, Surface in 9th position, and Rowan gets 10th place. So what does that do with the standings then? Because I have calculated it for you. Legend will be on 90 points. Rudy will be on 98 points. So the gap between Legend and Rudy will be 8 points in Rudy's favour. So him getting past Marcos was crucial that the advantage goes his way next week.
Yeah, that is really, really good stuff from Rudy there. And what that does as well means that Rudy, if he finishes on the podium next time out, the championship is his. He's put less pressure on himself for Kota. That does mean that if Legend does dominate the race next time out, and like he did in Kota last season, Rudy only has to finish 3rd, and the championship is wrapped up in Rudy's favour. By the way, Rowan, if you just get that penalty removed, Rowan finished P9 anyway, so Rowan would get 2 points at best for his efforts tonight, which is such a shame. That will put him 14 points off the championship lead, so Rowan will be pretty much out of the running for the title, barring a disaster for both of his championship rivals next time out. He needs basically both Rudy and Legend to retire next time out, and for him to win the race, to really stand a chance in the championship. Either way, he has to win the race this time next week to win the title because of the gap between himself and Rudy. So yeah, Rowan, really unlucky for him tonight. Such a shame that he's dropped so far back because of the issues that he's had tonight, but he's still mathematically in if anything is possible. And after tonight, I think we were kind of expecting it to be a Legend show going, weren't we, into Coast, the way we were talking about the championship permutations going into this race. The complete opposite has happened. The driver that's had the rough run of things the last few rounds has turned his championship around in one race.
Exactly. Let's just put it into perspective how it's gone for our championship contenders. Pretty much Rowan was 3rd in Belgium. He got a win in Belgium. Legend was 3rd in Australia. He got a win in Australia. And Rudy was 3rd in Abu Dhabi, and he won in Abu Dhabi. So there we go. So they've all got a win in the last few rounds. No one has got wins consecutively. Rudy now matches the amount of wins of all of our championship contenders, apart from Legend. So pretty much if Rudy and Legend are tied next week at the end of this, Rudy will win on countback. So we'll go for your results anyway. So to see how this stands, we've got Rudy in 1st, Marcos in 2nd, Frankie 3rd, Ascombe 4th, Steph in 5th, and look at Steph in the chat. He's absolutely delighted. I'm very delighted for him as well. A huge result for our debutant in the F1 tier, and he was matching the pace of the leaders as well, which was great to see. Nando in 6th, Marlon 7th, Fabi 8th, Service 9th, Rowan gets your final point. There we go. Sizzle, Jensen, Luca Kartner, Meyer, Brock, Louis, Legend, your top 17, and then we got Deso, Tom, and Ray, who are your DNFers. Only had one safety car. I'm very excited for this championship finale, and I can't wait for it. But I wouldn't want to be Legend right now because he's gone to a huge disadvantage. Rowan has gone from 2nd to 3rd in the championship, so he has even more of a disadvantage.
Yes, I didn't expect the championship fight to change this much.
Yeah.
I think going into Kota, I was expecting maybe a little bit of toing and froing between Rowan and Rudy. I was kind of expecting, honestly, one of either Rowan or Rudy to be knocked out of contention tonight. With the way that Legend had things, he'd finished first or second in the last 4 rounds in a row. He'd had such a run of form. And it looked like, before the safety car, he looked like he was still on for a fight on the podium at least as well. And then, unfortunately, of course, the incidents after the safety car have taken him out of contention, and it's completely shifted the dynamic of this championship once again. Rudy's gone from potentially thinking he was on his last legs, having to fight for every win possible to get back in the championship, to now having to defend the championship lead all of a sudden. It's such a complete change around in how it's been this season. And I think that just goes to show how it's been all season long, really, hasn't it? It's been toing and throwing between our top 3 in the championship all season long. I think Legend, he'll be frustrated, of course, having lost the championship lead, but he is still comfortably mathematically within a shot of the title, so there's still every opportunity for Legend to win this title. I think the one person, though, out of the top 3 that's going to be the most aggrieved after tonight is definitely Rowan. I think, at best, he is 13 points off the championship lead going into the final round. So, for Rowan, it's win or nothing next time out at Kota for him. And I think going into tonight, that was not exactly the outcome he would have wanted. So, yeah, for Rowan, I think it's potentially, unless anything crazy happens in Kota next time out, I think potentially Rowan's kind of on his last legs championship-wise now, which is such a shame after the run he had in the middle part of the season.
But as we've seen with Legend, anything can happen in Formula 1, and we've seen Legend struggle as well tonight with a few of his spins, so it's not mathematically over for Rowan until it's over. But we are going to be speaking to 2 of our podium sitters here today, as they're wanting to talk to us in the interview room, as I try and find the interview slide. There we go. I found that for you. So we'll get our race winner first of all in the interview room. We usually interview our second and third place first, but we thought we'll be nice and interview the man who's now got the championship lead going into next week. It is Rudy. Rudy, can you hear us? Rudy, can you hear us? I think the answer to that is no. I think if you're trying to speak, Rudy, we can't hear you. Now, whilst we try and get Rudy's audio working, we may as well get our second place man whilst we try and get Rudy's audio working. The man who was leading for most of the race, but you were fighting with Rudy for the win. It was Markados who finished a really great P2. Markados, can you hear us? We're not doing very well in terms of if people can hear us, could we?
No, it doesn't seem like Discord's wanting to be our friend tonight, does it?
No, I think what we will try and do is, I think the best option, I think, will be us to both go in the rating room, I reckon. So I will go. Yeah. I'll go in the rating room for Rudy to see if that works. Now, we'll see if this works now because I think he's joined it mobile, it seems. So, Rudy, can you hear us?
Yes. No.
Yes, Yes, it works. Woohoo! That is very good news. So, Rudy, a massive congratulations on your victory today. You got the move done on Markados on the closing laps as well. Were you a bit worried that it was going to be a repeat of the last few rounds where it didn't go so well for you two?
Yeah. To be honest, going into this race, I knew I had nothing to lose because, I kind of screwed up my championship in the last few rounds. I've been pretty gutted with that last few weeks. But now I did a lot of practice. The pace felt really good. In quali, I didn't even really do a really good lap, and I kind of messed up my final run. But still managed to get P2, and then in the race, everything went my way. Just 2 championship rivals, basically. Yeah, getting taken out or spinning. I wouldn't have believed you if you said I'd be leading by this amount after tonight.
Yes, because you are 98 points going into the final round. You'll be leading by 8 points, which I have to say we couldn't believe that you're leading going into this, because you were sitting third in the standings going into tonight. We, to be honest, not gonna lie, we wrote you off going into tonight, which just goes to show never write anyone off until the last possible moment. So yes, when you saw your main rivals crash out of the proceedings, and you were fighting with the likes of Markelos as well, what does play in your mind going into next week's race, knowing that you're 8 points clear of your championship rivals? You're not going to take your foot off the pedal, are you? You're going to give it guns of glory to make sure the championship goes to you.
Yeah, well, usually I do a lot of practice already, but this week's just going to be so much practice, just making sure I don't over practice, but just making sure that I think if I finish third or something in the legend wins, I should be still champion, or maybe not just about, but yeah, I've got a pretty good buffer now, and I know that there will be a lot of pressure on me on the final round. And to be honest, going into this round, I knew Legend and Rowan we basically all three of us had the same pace in qualifying and in the race. But yeah, I mean, I guess there was a bit more pressure on Legend, because I felt that pressure the last few weeks with me being in the championship lead by a big amount. Although, yeah, it's a nice buffer, but you're the one that can lose the points. But now it was the other way around, so I didn't bottle finally. And now sure I don't in the final race.
I think that's probably what helped you tonight, that you did have nothing to lose. You had less pressure on yourself, and that's probably helped you secure that win tonight. And I have to say, that battle you had with Markelos was absolutely sensational. So fair racing, and great respect between the pair of you tonight, which is something I didn't think I'll be saying in this race. I thought we would have seen a repeat, but we didn't, which was great news. So Aidan, any questions for our new championship leader?
Well, congratulations, Rudy, on your third win of the season. I think one question for me, I guess, after you saw, of course, Legend and Rowan kind of out of proceedings, and it was just you and Markelos at the front of the field, was it always the plan to just go for the win and try and build a buffer, or were you happy kind of sitting for second place and waiting for an opportunity? What was the kind of mindset for the last 10 laps of that race?
Well, to be honest, I was going to be happy with P2, and I knew that the tires, we pit pretty early, and I did think that Markelos was running quite low wings, looking at his quali sector times. So I knew that he was going to struggle a bit more on the tires. And also with the ERS, I think I like going into the final 2 laps, I had a full battery. I'm not sure what he was on, but considering that he was flashing after the penultimate lap, I think I managed ERS pretty well. And yeah, if he would have had the same tires as me and the same ERS as me, I wouldn't have taken any risk. But my tires I just did good tire saving, and also I think my setup helped with that. So I was going to be happy with P2, but I saw I had such a massive pace advantage, because you saw on the final lap as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't pushing at all, and I still gapped him by 1 second. So I think that said a lot about how his tires were. So yeah, it was basically done. I knew going into the final lap I was going to have him.
Yeah, and it paid off, of course. In the end, the setup choice that you've gone for then has obviously paid off in this situation, which was great to see. And I guess last question for me, of course, is that you're going to practice all week. How are you feeling about the Circuit of the Americas? Is it a track you enjoy? Is it a track that doesn't really rank very highly in your rankings? How do you feel about it?
Well, it's not one of my favorites, but I think I've got good pace there. Last season as well, I had pretty good pace, but then rain in the race and stuff didn't really go my way. But I think it's a pretty good track for me, and usually I'm good at tracks where track limits are a big factor, because I usually don't really pick up penalties. And of course, hopefully the others will get penalties. But yeah, I think it should be an alright track for me. It's not one of my best, but also definitely not one of the worst that could have been.
Yeah, and at least with the 8-point lead as well, of course, you built yourself a bit of a buffer as well. So, yeah, great stuff from you tonight, Rudy. Congratulations on your third win of the season.
Yeah, thanks, and cheers for comms as well.
Thank you, Rudy. We'll now speak to our second place man, Marcos. You just missed out on the win, but that was a very, very good fight between yourself and Rudy, and that was a great pole lap as well. Talk us through what was going through your mind in that race, because to be honest, it was pretty much your best performance of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's at the moment incredible for me. Yeah, finally I got my first F1 podium, and the pole as well, as you said. And yeah, Rudy had the better tires at the end, as he said. He has 61% on the last lap, and I have 73, I think. So yeah, the tires was really on the crossover, but on the end, better say. Yeah, but I just wanted to score very good points with the second place it is, and yeah, maybe the first win will come also soon, but yeah, at the moment it's incredible for me, and I'm really, really happy at the moment.
Hi, it's brilliant to see that you're still happy with second, even though you were close for the win. It just shows how hard you've been working to get that podium all season, because you had moments where you almost had it, but you either spun or got taken out or something like that as well. But talk us through your pole lap, because I did not pretty much see that coming, and that was a lap which was pretty much the same as the F2 pole lap as well. What made you feel so comfortable about this track more than any other track on the calendar?
You know not that I'm a quali merchant? No, no, but yeah, the quali lap was also my PB.
Oh,
and
yes.
Yeah, the second sector was nailed. I have a mid.1, I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, the second sector was purple, and then I know it. Okay, I was 6/100ths behind Rudy before the lap starts, and I know only bring the lap down in the third sector, and then I have the pole, and yeah,
Yes.
it was the lap.
Yeah, it was a very good lap as well. You're currently sitting, I believe, P12 in the standings. Do you think you can maybe get into the top 10 by the end of next week? At the end of next week, potentially, is top 10 in the standings on the cards for you?
Yeah, I think I'm now P8. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I literally don't know, but yeah, but you'll definitely. I think you'll definitely be in the top 10 after tonight, I have to say.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully that is on the cards as well. And I'll let Aidan ask his usual question in a minute. But a question about the championship. Who do you think is going to take the title next week out of the 3 remaining drivers that we have? Is it going to be Rudy, Legend, or Rowan?
The question to me or in?
Yeah, question to you. Who do you think is going to win the title out of the 3 of them?
Yeah, I think Rudy, because the other ones must win. And yeah, today's race was a lot of chaos. And yeah, Rudy, I think at the moment is the consistency driver in F1, and yeah. But it doesn't matter me, so I look only on my race, so yeah.
Yeah, so Marcos thinks Rudy's going to win the title, so if Rudy doesn't win, that will probably be Marcos' undoing. Joking. Aidan, any questions for our P2 man?
Well, I think you can probably guess what my question's going to be. Well, congratulations, Marcos, on your first podium in PSF1. Really great drive from yourself today. Going obviously to Kota for the final round of the season, and if I remember correctly, I think Kota was one of your, if not your best race of last season as well. I think you were fighting for a potential podium at some point last season. So I'm guessing Kota's a good track for you. Do you think you can get another good result in the Circuit of the Americas?
Yeah, maybe. So I look forward to the tracks. It's a top 5 track maybe for me, and yeah, I will see what the training got to me, and maybe also a pole position next week again, but we will see.
Oh, confidence,
Yeah.
confidence. I like to hear it. I like to hear it. I can tell you're in a very good mood tonight. I'll let you go and celebrate your fantastic podium. I think you must be on cloud 9, to be honest, getting that. Congratulations, Markados P2, in a crazy Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Well done.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Markados. Now, final round of the championship next week. We will be heading to the Circuit of the Americas. A track where I have to say, obviously, Legend has done well in the past, but don't count out Rowan and Rudy, obviously. Rudy is the favourite going into next week, but I said that every week, saying one person is the favourite, and they go on and bottle it. So, yes, this could be anyone's game, but I think Rowan is pretty much out of this one, and it is maybe a 2-horse fight between Rudy and Legend for this one. But don't count Rowan out after what we've seen tonight.
Yeah, definitely don't count him out, like you say. And if we're going to stick true to form, then in the past 2 rounds, like you mentioned earlier on, the person that was third in the standings going into the race ends up leading the standings coming out. So if we're going to stay true to form, then technically Rowan will be winning the championship next week. Who knows? It could be a really crazy race, and yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in COTA. Like you say, I think this win for Rudy today completely changes the dynamic. If Rudy finished second, I think you would say that it's probably it's going to be a very tight fight between Rudy and Legend, you would say, if Rudy had finished second today. But the fact that Rudy won instead and has built that buffer means that he's got some sort of relax for him, isn't it? He only has to finish third now next time. He doesn't have to fight so hard for the win, even if Legend does win himself. So it changes the dynamic a bit. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. There's so many people that are so good at COTA. It's one of those tracks where everybody knows the circuit inside out, so everybody's going to be fast at the Circuit of the Americas. It can just depend on what the weather's going to be like. And of course, last season we saw it rain the whole race, and we had the most dominant win in probably PSGL F1 history, in Legend winning by over a pit stop, even with a pit stop in his own race. So yeah, a lot of potential for chaos next week. Circuit of the Americas is definitely an interesting track, to say the least. Like Rudy mentioned, there's penalties that we've got to deal with as well. Track limits penalties. Turn 1, of course, is usually a chasm for chaos. So yeah, a lot to look out for next week. And hopefully a lot of people can end their seasons on a high.
Yes, and hopefully you guys could be tuned in next week to the championship finale as well. And of course, we've got a championship finale in PC F2 as well on the Thursday, so you can go and check that out. And we also got PC F1 as well on Wednesday night, where the best of the best will be fighting it out around the Circuit of the Americas as well. We have George Morgan and Jack Canan taking you through that one. And for the PCF2 Championship finale, we got, of course, Luke Etheridge and Chris Buxton taking you through the action as well. So surely 2 great PC races to keep you up to date for as well. We'll see who wins the F2 title finale as well. I'll definitely be watching that one. And make sure you check us same time next week for our championship finale, and for all the other championship finales happening across all the other tiers in PS and PC. But before we go, make sure you check out our sponsor GT Omega, where you can get 5% off GT Omega products by using the code PSGL by clicking the link in the description. And the PSF1 champion will win themselves a voucher from GT Omega. Same with our PSF2 champion and everyone from PCF2 to PCF6. So should be good on that one. We will let you guys go enjoy the rest of your night. Make sure you join us next week. Who will win the title? Will it be Rudy? Will it be Legend? Or will it be Rowan? Well, we'll find out by the end of next week. I've been Jess Ball. Comments, this has been Aidan Carter. We will see you same time next week for the United States Grand Prix. Have a good evening, everybody. Goodbye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega, proudly supporting PSGL.